Okay, so for the enemies, it took me a little while to actually figure out what's going on with the enemies, and again, just referencing back to the jazz game, which is really good reference for uh, many different things if you want to find out how certain things are done, especially if you want to just do something simple like this. Obviously, anything more complicated will probably require either a lot more knowledge or a lot more research. But I kind of feel my way through it and reference back to the jazz game and try and figure out exactly why certain things are done. Uh, so I don't forget it. And okay, so to get the enemies to work, we've got this node on the character that I've mentioned before in other videos that the the enemy tries to follow. Okay, so that's just a simple crowd behavior, and the using the crowds for enemies pretty much will mean that your enemies will always be really stupid, I think, and unless maybe you set up some really elaborate targets for making them seem like they know what they're doing, but um, yeah. But anyway, so for this thing, I've got right now I've only got the one behavior. So when the enemy reaches the player, it'll jump into this behavior, and it's this thing over here, and all it really does is a play animation. It calls for an animation that you can add in here, and obviously you can add in a list of animations. Um, so to get some variation or whatever. And these settings are pretty much, and I mean I went and I copied the nodes of the jazz game, and I just do my own setup for that, and this is pretty similar to what the jazz game is set up as. Um, I just add my own animation in there, and at the at the agent behavior, I've got the idle behavior, which if you don't have this checked on, the character will keep moving towards you, regardless of what it's doing. If you check it on, it'll actually kind of stop and do something. That's what it seems like to me anyway. And um, the I've just got this on, so I make sure to face the player. I've actually got at the behavior inside the node setup. I've got the look at actor, which is the player, and you'll actually see they'll keep trying to look at you while when they've reached you, they'll keep trying to look at you until they go into the, I guess, the roaming state or whatever you would call it. Then they'll walk around and do whatever they want. But as soon as they reach your little collision area and go into this behavior, they'll keep looking at you. Um, okay, so that's all simple enough. And then what I also realized what you need to do is, and this is the part that kind of had me stumped for a while, but I just forgot about the fact that you would actually need need your anim tree to be set up properly for the crowds. To be able to actually call some animations up from for your character. So um, also again looking at how the jazz enemies are set up, they have this. They have a actually have the wrong anim tree open there. as my enemy tree. I pretty much just went and duplicated some stuff out. Currently using the same character obviously for everything, so I'll replace those as I go in and maybe model some new stuff for that. So so the difference in the anim tree there is I I don't specifically know exactly how these things are being used, but um, after I add them, the character works. So yeah, I would have to go and do some research on the UDN maybe to see if there's information about exactly how these things work and why they are set up like that, but I haven't done that yet. So you have this blend per bone and this node, which in the jazz game I think is called spit for the snake or whatever, or bite I think is called for the snake or for the turtle. I just call it the attack node, and um, it seems to still work. I'm not sure exactly how this node is being referenced, but there's no animations plugged into it, so I have a feeling it's just a reference underneath, just to be able to call up animations. And and then there's the action blend node that goes into the is panicked, which is part of the crowd behavior. There's panic state, stuff like that. I'm not exactly sure how that's used, but I just plugged all my other standard nodes in there. So for the physics states, for the walking and the falling and all that, I've just got that stuff all plugged in there. In the jazz game, there's only one walking animation plugged in there, and then for the backwards, this is pretty much walking backwards. I've just reversed my walk. It's never actually used, so but it's there. So this is a key part of getting enemies when you use the behavior, the reached behavior. You want to do something and call the animation and all that. The anim tree is actually a pretty important part of that. So yeah, that's the enemies, and yeah. So like I've mentioned before, I haven't actually made them damage the player yet. I attempted to set up a uh, a pain behavior, which calls for just like I don't actually have a pain animation, so I'm just calling a random animation. I haven't been able to actually make that work specifically. I haven't looked into it much. I just set it up and tried it, and it didn't do much, and kind of let it go right there because I haven't had the attacks and stuff working yet. So I looked into the attacks and that stuff first, and yeah. So when I've got that stuff sorted out, then I'll show I've got that working if I if I get it working. So I think that's it for the enemies, and yeah, I think that's it.